So today we will quickly use 3 to 5 minutes to go over the background information and the introduction. If you would like to know more, you can go back to check the learning series recording video in YouTube by the end of May. You can get more detailed information. And then we will high-level review the architecture diagram again, 2 to 3 minutes. And then we will explain the QuickSight API. How can you call it from CloudTrail? How can you use it by using the Boto3? And we will share the Python code by using Boto3 to get those QuickSight metadata to combine with the CloudTrail to build the usage analytics. We will also provide some tips and tricks about how to query against the CloudTrail Athena table to make some advanced query. And finally, we will talk about how can we build the QuickSight datasets and calculate the field to build the admin console dashboard. That's today's agenda. And now let's go to the demo. Yeah, we already explained the usage of the admin console dashboard. And for your information, we are enabling Q topic on top of it. Should be ready by July 15th. So stay tuned. I will not spend time today on the dashboard explanation. You can review the previous YouTube recording. And here is the evolution history of the admin console. The very first version was 5 years ago when I just joined Amazon for 1 year in 2020. In that one, we just list the metadata, the assets, management of the QuickSight objects. That's the baby version of the admin console dashboard. But in this blog, I listed some best practice, how to do the assets management by using group, and provide some sample Lambda function to help you to look for any orphan assets and assign them to the existing admin or BI developer group. So it still have some value here to check this blog if you need some guidance and suggestion. And in 2021, this one is the first version of the current admin console dashboard by including the usage metrics and the assets management. And in 2022, we updated it by including the glue function and enrich the management by including the data set and the column mapping and some other enrichment. In the data dictionary, you can see not only the lineage between the data set dashboard and the underlying custom SQL or relational table. You can also see the lineage between the columns and the data sets. And I just updated it in 2025 May. So all the previous, you see the bug, you see the error, it should be resolved in this new update. And previously, you see this solution only can be deployed in US East 1. In the newer version, it should be all resolved. Yep, and thank you for keep adding comments and feedback to this solution. You can continue to add if you see any bug or if you have any new request, you can make a comment on this blog. Yeah, we will check it and then provide some new updates. Thank you. And in July 15, we will release some new enrichment by including the folder assets and some other Q-related stuff. And stay tuned. And yeah, thank you, the community. Yeah, that's the background and history of the admin console solution. And here is the architecture diagram. In the new architecture diagram, I removed the Lambda function because Lambda function has the 15 minutes timeout limitation. Now we encourage all of you use glue job to call the QuickSight API and dump the results to get the assets management, the metadata of QuickSight. And as you all know, how can we get the usage? We get it from the CloudTrail. And if you would like to get more information about the performance metric, you can put CloudWatch into this architecture diagram to get the performance analysis. And we will continue enrich you by integrate into this solution by provide performance analysis. Stay tuned. And once you have all the data, you can directly query against S3 bucket, no problem. But if you would like to run some advanced SQL query, here is the best practice. We are using Athena on top of the S3 files to allow you to run some SQL query to make the advanced query to do those join, to fine-tuning to get the username, the principal ID, and so on and so on. And then the QuickSight datasets and dashboard is based on the Athena tables. Yep. And now let's move to the interesting part. So you all know about the QuickSight API, and click this link. You can get all the reference of the QuickSight API. And a quick demo is here in the console. You can click this button and get the Cloud Shell. And once the Cloud Shell is set up, you can just type in AWS QuickSight help. If you attend the QuickSight admin workshop, you all know how to do that. You can do like type in AWS QuickSight help, and then you can get the list of all the QuickSight API in the bash formatting, right? And you can like type in a specific API, say list dashboard. Yep. And it will tell you, hey, what do we need? You need to provide the AWS account ID to get the dashboard list. That's how can you run the QuickSight API by using the Cloud Shell. But in this solution, what we do is we use the Boto3, the QuickSight Python API, Python SDK to run the API to get the metadata, the assets information of QuickSight. So in this solution, we use the list and describe API to get the metadata. The list API can be divided in two parts. One is for the QuickSight assets. One is for the user management. For the assets, including list data source, list data sets, and so on. And the interesting part is for folder. You can do list folder to get all the folder. And then you can do list folder members to get the members of a specific folder. And for the user management, similarly, you can list a user and then use list user group to get all the group of a user. You can do list group and then say list group membership to get all the members of a group. And you can run the describe API to describe QuickSight objects. Describe data source can get all the information, the definition of a data source. Describe data sets can get the information of a data set. For analysis, you can describe analysis to get the high-level information of analysis. That's what we use in this solution. And you might already know, describe analysis definition can get a detailed definition, like how many sheets it has, like what calculated field it defines, and all the filters and so on and so on. This one is more for assets as code, but not for the solution. But you might think about that if you would like to know more information, like provide the linkage between analysis and the calculated field and filter they are using. You can use this describe analysis definition, and then by mimicking the idea of this solution to build the S3 file and then build a Athena table and then use QuickSight datasets and dashboard to visualize a centralized metadata of the lineage between analysis and its dependence. That's doable. And similarly for dashboard and dashboard definition. And you can run those API to describe a dataset permission and so on and so on to get the permissions information of the QuickSight assets. Basically, the API is similar like this one, is describe and put the access type here and then say permissions. You will get the access permissions of those assets. And if you use Amazon Q, you can see here, if you run a question, say, hey, give me the API to list QuickSight assets, then Amazon Q can help you to provide a list of the list API here. I try it, it works. That's the Amazon Q can help you to do that. Try it, it's very powerful, just for your information, okay? Yeah, and now we finish the high-level explanation of those API. Let's move to the Python SDK and the Boto3. And in this solution, we are using glue job to dump the results into the S3 files. If you, in theory, glue job should already update by using the newest version of the Boto3. But if you see anything wrong, you can include this one into your glue job to try to make sure every time you run the glue job, you are using the newest version of the Boto3, okay? Forget about this one. This one is if you would like to use Jupyter Notebook to run some tests, then you can use this one to update your Jupyter Notebook, okay? And here is the wiki page for the Boto3 API list. Yep, you can check it here and get some, any updates will be published here. And this one is the most official documentation about the Boto3 SDK, okay? And here, let me show you. You know, in the blog, I provide 3 CloudFormation templates. The first one is for you to deploy it to glue Python shell job and 2 triggers to trigger the glue job. So if you click this one, go to your AWS account, and then let me close this one. You will see, if you click view the infrastructure composer, you will see the component here. So in this CloudFormation template, I put the creation of one S3 bucket, and this one is the I include one AM row to execute the glue job and also to have the access permission to get the information, to get the data from this S3 bucket. And here is the schedule and the schedule for the second glue job and the second glue job. Okay. If you would like to see the template is here. So you can see here is the row I create to execute all the jobs in this solution. And I allow this IAM row to be able to assume the role to run the glue, and also for the third CloudFormation template to execute it to create the QuickSight datasets and dashboard for the admin console solution. And here you can see the policy I put in this IAM row. If you want to make any modification, actually you can modify here and then validate it and then create a new template to fit into your usage. And if you scroll down to see in here, that's the glue job. And here is the location of the glue job, which is a Python code I share in the public S3 bucket. Okay. And you can see this one is for you to get the access permission information, like who own which QuickSight objects. I'm using this Python code for you to dump the results. And you can see here, by default, I just get the current AWS region as the region to execute this job. Okay, if you would like to modify the region to some specific region, you can modify here. Don't use the existing region. You can change the region as a hard code region as you wish. And here is another glue job to get the information about which dashboard, list all the dashboard, and get which dashboard has which data sets, data source, and the source entity of the dashboard. So I name it admin console dataset dashboard, and then it information. And if you would like to download the glue job and make some modification, you can do it very easy. You can use AWS API, use CLI or Boto3 or whatever SDK to download it by using this S3 URI. Another way is you can do that, say, the URL of this S3 URI and ask Amazon Q to give you the URL, right? And Amazon Q can successfully provide the URL for you. If you get it, copy paste it, and then put in here. You will see the Python code here, right? Amazon Q is very powerful. And in here, I provide you a sample. You can just like use this one to download the Python code into your local environment, and then you can edit it as you wish. And here is the code of the Python job to help you to get the information of the dashboard, list the dashboard, and get the underlying objects this dashboard is based on. Yeah. So on the top, you import all the library. And as I explained, this one is a sample function defined to how to build the Boto core session. And the difference for Boto core and Boto3 is Boto core is more low level. Boto3 is more high level. Boto core is a fundamental foundation of Boto3. I keep the Boto core function here is sometimes if QuickSight release some beta version of the API core, you might have to spin up the Boto core to use those beta version API. But if you only use the product version, and if you are more comfortable with the Boto3, you can use Boto3, no problem. This one just for your reference. And here I always use this one to do some logging and auditory for myself. So I understand these calls from which SDK I'm building. For example, this one I give a name called QuickSight SDK Admin Console. And if you are familiar with my other solution for my BI Ops, I will say QS SDK, BI Ops, and so on and so on. This one is only for auditing, okay? And in here, you can set up the global variable and the client and the region. You can spin up the STS client, and then by calling the STS parameter to get the caller entity about the account ID. You can use this one inside the glue job option to get the current AWS region your job is running. You can use this one, say Boto3 client, to spin up QuickSight client. Okay. You can also like by specify region name equal to which one to spin up a QuickSight local client by a specific region. Either way is fine. Here, all those things is try to give you some example for you to further customize solution to meet into your specific requirement. And in here for the list function, I build a parent function to handle the pagination and as a parent class for the other list function. So in here you can see I say, hey, this one should be able to handle the different function name, attribute name, and account ID and the region. And if I have extra argument, take it, okay? And then if you define this one, you don't have to repeatedly repeat the customization in every list function. For example, for list dashboard, I can just define the list dashboard and then call this parent list function and tell it, hey, this one I would like to handle list dashboard. And the attribute name of the response is dashboard summary list. And then I can make the list dashboard function become more compacted and more clean. And similarly, I do the same thing for list analysis, list scene, list datasets, list data source, and list ingestion. And if you would like to extend to some other list function, you can mimicking what I'm doing here, but that's your choice. But for the describe function, I provide you another option. If you don't want to do those highly object-oriented coding style, you can do it more for an individual API. So you can create a function called describe dashboard. And then in here, you're just mimicking what do we have for the QuickSight SDK by providing account ID, dashboard ID, and AWS region as the input. And then call the QuickSight client and then provide the results by calling this one and providing those information and return the response. Either way is fine, your choice, okay? So these two ways, they are all good for you to call the QuickSight API to get the information. If you would like to mimic what I did for the list, you can also do the same thing. Define a describe a parent function and then build those things one by one. You don't have to do that in here. Everyone defines its own customization. And actually, I have a Jupyter notebook provide you the sample function to do this parent and child class hierarchical structure. I can share with all of you at the end of this session, okay? So I do similarly for the other objects for the asset management and also for the permission management, okay? And then we go to the main function. In the main function, I create the S3 resource and let the bucket name to be admin console new plus account ID, okay? And in here, I define the different key name. And the beginning, I would like to put all the list and describe functionality into this glue job. So I put the datasets, data dictionary, and list datasets ingestion in the same one. But I figure out for large enterprise customer, then this glue job will be executed very long. So I remove the dataset ingestion description into another glue job. And stay tuned, I will provide it later by updating the original blog or create a new blog, okay? And in future, I might also like split this glue job into two to be able to allow those glue job can be executed in parallel. You can do it by yourself. Either way is fine. It's very easy. You just split the key 1 and key 3 generation into two different glue job. Your choice. And the rest of this part just try to like define the path name and for you to dump the results runtime and then upload the runtime results to S3 bucket. And in here, I just define two array. One is for the datasets information, which including the dashboard and datasets lineage information. Of course, including the data source information and the source entity information. And the second one, data dictionary, is for the datasets and the columns lineage information. So what I do is very simple. Just list the dashboard, get a list, and then loop through each dashboard to get the information. Okay. If you would like to make it more robust, you can do some coding to in parallel trigger a batch of threading, and then let every threading pick up one dashboard ID to run in parallel. You can do this way, no problem. But be careful. The API execution might be throttling. So you have to be carefully control your parallelization. So in here, I just do a very simple way to do it by sequence, one by one, loop all the dashboard ID. And in here, for every dashboard ID, okay, let me just describe the dashboard. And when I describe the dashboard, if I can get the source entity ARN, good. And let me try to get the source entity type. And if the source entity type is analysis, good. Please put the source entity ID, the related information. I describe the analysis by providing those information into the CSV file. You may already know that the source entity might be a template, right? But in here, I didn't record the information about template, because template, you can not visibly visualize it. So I just put not available. If you also would like to get the information of the template, you can mimic what I'm doing here. Say if source type equal to template, then what do you want to do? You can do whatever you would like to do. And if this dashboard without any source entity, sometimes it might happen. I just catch it and provide the information, say, hey, no source entity. Okay. And then for all the data sets this dashboard is based on, I do another loop and get the information to get the dataset ID and describe the datasets to get the dataset name, the last updated time, and the physical table mapping. Physical table mapping means when you connect a data source, the connection information, and what kind of query you are running. If you directly import a table into datasets, then it's relational table. Okay. Let me. Okay. Yeah. And and then you can try to further get the data source information and build a lineage like a training dashboard, underlying dataset, and for dataset, get underlying data source information, and so on and so on. Yep, and you can also get the catalog information, get the schema information, and get the name of the table, and so on and so on. And if you are writing a custom SQL in the dataset, then in this part, you will see the custom SQL. And for the custom SQL, you can similarly also get the data source information and get the SQL query context and also get the name of the custom SQL when you create the datasets and put all those information into here. So that's the schema of the table called datasets information. I put the region, the dashboard name, the dashboard ID, the data source name, the data source ID, dataset name, dataset ID, last updated time, and oh, sorry. Here is the data source name, data source ID. Here is the source where it coming from, what type of the data source. Yeah, and also the SQL name and the SQL query here. So I put all the information about the dashboard and datasets and underlying data source and the SQL they are using or the catalog table they are using into this one CSV. And then once I get all the information, I upload this one into the S3 bucket. And then I move to the data dictionary building. And for the data dictionary, easier. I list all the data sets. And for every one in the data sets, describe the data sets. And there is a field in the response of the described data sets, which is called output columns. Output columns is the final column you can see from your data set. In data set, in the response, three big parts: physical mapping, logical mapping, and in the logical mapping, it displays some transformation you did for your physical mapping. But the final output column list is in the output column section. So you can get all the columns in the output column. You can get the column name, column type, and if you have description, you can get a description. And then you get all the information and then put into the data dictionary CSV. And yeah, and this one is the more complicated one of the two glue job. If you understand this one, then it's very easy to understand this one for to get the permissions information of and the group user information of your QuickSight account. I will skip the line-by-line explanation of this one. It's just a simple version of this one. Okay, and now let's move to the explain the CloudTrail log. Again, if you launch the stack, you will be able to see the stack for the Athena table. And you can see here, we create these 5 Athena table and these schema to host these 5 Athena table. Okay, and in here, if you already have this table called CloudTrail logs partition, this one we partition by the data, by the year, month, and day. And if you have this one, you can play with it. For example, I can select the event name from this table. And in here, let me only get the last 40 days. And the event source is QuickSight. And the event type, which is not API call, that means the service call is made from the QuickSight console, not by calling the API directly. And if you run this query, you will get the distinct event name list here. Okay. And some of the event name is very easy to understand from event name. This one is the one to query the database. This one is for you to view a topic. This one is for you to create analysis, right? But some of them may be a little bit difficult to understand. Let me give you one example, say get dashboard. I know this one is for get dashboard, but what exactly can I get by using the get dashboard? So you can write, I would like to select everything from the CloudTrail log of the last 40 days and from QuickSight and the event name, which is get dashboard. And I would like to order by the event name, this descending order. So you can see the event version here, and here is the user identity. It's assuming the role. And here is the ARM. Yet I enable a Chrome extension to blur out the account ID. So you will see here is text blur, but here is my account ID. So this one is from this account, assume this row called admin, and the session name is this one to make this get dashboard call. And if you continue to move to right to get more information, you can see more detail about the session context and the event time and the event source, which is QuickSight, right? And the event name and the region. And QuickSight even provide you the source IP address and the event ID. So every event, even from the console, you can get the event ID. If you open a support ticket, this one is helpful to provide more detailed information in your support ticket. And it telling you is a one AWS service event, not the API event. It's from the service console. And you see this one read-only? Yes, this one is a read-only events, including get something, list something, describe something, okay? And the recipient account ID is the one in which account you are running the get dashboard. And here is the service event detail. You can see the dashboard ID detail here, okay? And you can see the event response detail here, which is the dashboard detail, the dashboard name, dashboard ID, and now you can publish dashboard from multiple analysis. So you will see the analysis ID as a list in here, and the dataset list here. So you can get all the information by calling the CloudTrail log to get all those information. And if you would like to know more about what can we get from the query database, you can go here to run this query, say, sorry, wait a minute. Yeah. If you run this query, you will get the similar events details about the query database. And you can see here, similarly in the user identity. And then similarly in the service event details, you can get what's the database type and the ID of the query. By using this one, you can go to your underlying database to verify the query log. And you can get a dataset ID and what's the dataset mode, spice. Yeah, so you can get all the information related this specific database query for you. Yeah. And good. Now you understand the details about the CloudTrail. And let's move to explain the third CloudFormation template, which is about the QuickSight objects we are creating in this solution. So in the third CloudFormation template, we provide you a QuickSight data source and a QuickSight analysis and 4 QuickSight data sets based on this data source and utilized by this analysis. And here is a dependency. If the data source fail to be created, then the data set will be fail to be created. Okay? And once you finish the deployment, you can go to the QuickSight console. It's a little bit slow, sorry about that. And let me use this one to explain the details for you. In the SQL, what I do here is I create different subquery. The first one, I call it D. That means all the information related to dashboard. This one, DV1, is I try to get the last view dashboard time for the get dashboard event per user. And this one is I try to get the last events for every user. Not only the dashboard, but all the events this user is running. And for the G, I try to get the group namespace user information and combine everything together. And DO1 is the dashboard owner information. Combine everything together. That's the fundamental data. I use it to build the admin console dashboard. So in here, you can see I select the account ID from the user identity. And by running some SQL query to get the which row is assuming and the user ARN and the username and the region and the dashboard name and so on from the CloudTrail log table. And with the event source QuickSight and event name get dashboard. If you would like to get the detailed information of other events, you can replace the where clause with other event name and build your own data sets, right? And in here, I just get the last 99 days. You can change this one to fit into your requirement. And then I use this CloudTrail log to left out join this one. In this one, I use the user AIN as a group by and get the maximum, the last view dashboard time. Okay, so I can use this one to calculate the user activity. Is this user has action in the last 7 days, last 9 days, and so on. I use this one to get it. And similarly, I use this one to get the first event time and last event time to get the lifespan of a user. When this user make the first action, when this user make the last action. And in here, again, I use this one. I call the QuickSight API to dump the metadata of your QuickSight account. This one is the access permission of the QuickSight objects, or I can say QuickSight assets. And then join with this metadata of QuickSight to get the ownership information of the dashboard and other assets, right? And finally, I join with the this DO subquery. In this one, what I do is I do the object. I use the where clause to get the object type equal dashboard, and then if the principal type is group and user, then I join this one with the main subquery together and get those ownership information. Okay, so that's the query. How can I get all those information? And similarly, you can get the you can verify the query in other data sets to get information. How can I generate the data sets and the dashboard? But the other, they are very simple. You can self-learning. I will skip here. And in the analysis, yep, I use all those data sets, and then I create some calculated field to run the analysis. For example, for the active user, what I do is very simple. I just say, hey, if the activity stays equal to active, count it. And how can I know the activity status active? That's very simple. I get the last view dashboard event or last event, right? Based on your care about is a reader, because reader you care about it view dashboard or not. Then you define the activity status of a reader by using the last view dashboard events. If it's the author or admin, then you use the last event time to calculate is it this author, this admin in active status. And what I'm doing here is you can define the active days threshold here. In here, by default, I say, hey, in this one, for user activity, if larger than 1 month, no any activity, then this user inactive. And by using this parameter and compare with the last event time or last view dashboard time, I can get the status is active or not. So, yep, that's it. That's all for today's session.